What's good, my madness society? It is your host with the most, Shadowloke, back at you with another video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and or subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. That's how you help my channel get into the algorithm. Highly appreciate, the support. Now, one of the things that I get asked a lot on my YouTube channel is about liars, right? And why do people lie, and why people do, I guess, the things that they do, right? And see, with lying, it gets a little bit tricky, right? Because there's so many forms of why people lie. You have compulsive liars, you have pathological liars, and even though people think that that's the same thing, it is not the same thing. What separates a compulsive liar from a pathological liar is the reason of why they lie, right? And the reason of why they lie could fall into any of these categories, right? It's one of my favorite parts of psychology. You know what I mean? This is, one of my favorite, points of psychology, right? Which is a dark triad. What is a dark triad? The dark triad, consists of, what psychopathy, Machiavellianism, and narcissism, which is three, characteristics, of individuals, right? Personality disorder, right? These are individuals, if they display any of these traits or if they fall under these categories, are very, very bad people to be around. You know what I mean? I'm not to say that they're serial killers or nothing like that, right? Because people could be psychopaths and narcissism or sexual sadists, but they won't kill somebody. You know what I mean? They could be, just because somebody's a psychopath doesn't mean that he's a serial killer, is what I'm trying to say. Or just because I'm saying that this person's a narcissist doesn't mean that he's a serial killer, right? Serial killers, they are narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, and sexual sadists, and etc., right? But they're already, that's just a part of their, overall personality. There's still a whole lot more of, there's a whole lot more shit there, right? To unbag. That's just a part of it, right? So just because someone's a psychopath doesn't mean that they're a serial killer. So, if they display these bad traits, either way, these people are very difficult to be around. They're very difficult people to I guess, have a good relationship with, right? Because they only look after themselves, right? Only look to satisfy their needs and look to manipulate and take advantage of others, right? In order for them to gain, whatever they're looking to gain, right? And obviously, some are more extreme than others, right? Like anybody that falls under the psychopathy, category, right? Because that's a person who really can't hold no emotional ties to anybody, right? They show no empathy. They just don't have no emotions to them, right? They just can't build no communication or relationship or bond or friendship or anything with nobody. They're always looking to, how can I take advantage of this person, right? Machiavellianism is somebody who lies, right? Almost the same as a narcissist, right? But the difference between a narcissism and Machiavellianism is the reason of why they lie, right? See, somebody who falls under like Machiavellianism, they could actually admit some faults to them, right? Like they'll pretend that they'll pretend to lose or pretend, but to look to get sympathy from others in order for them to trick them, right? Like they don't mind admitting that they have flaws to them. If it could get these people to now sympathize with this individual, that way he could get, establish a deeper friendship. That way he could look to get whatever he needs to get out of this person, right? So they're very conniving, right? These people are, they're they're some of the best con artists, right? A narcissist, someone that's a narcissist is a little bit more faults to them, right? These people are a little bit more easier to spot, and they can still trick people, right? But it's a little bit more harder, right? Because their overall egos are so massive that it's not even funny, right? A someone who's narcissist will refuse he has any faults. Nothing is ever their faults. And they're right about everything, and they know everything, and they're the best at everything that they have done. If you have ever wrestled an alligator, he wrestled 5. If you climb Mount Everest, he climbed to the moon. If you own a Lamborghini, he owns 5. Right? But there is no outdoing this individual. This guy's the greatest of all time in his eyes, right? He's number one. As a matter of fact, someone who's a narcissist can't get along with another narcissist. The reason for that, when two people are trying to be number one, you can see where the problem's going to be. Oh, well, I have 5 mentions. Well, I have 7. Oh, yeah, well, I just bought 10 more right now, and it's just like they're just, they're trying to outdo each other. So, like, I hate that guy. He thinks he's a shit. But it's like, you're the same, though. It's crazy how they could see it in other people, but they can't recognize it in themselves. That is the part of this that actually catches my attention and intrigues me, right? Like, how we can see the flaws in others, but we can't see the flaws in ourselves. I myself, suffer from that too as well, right? And it's crazy, and a lot of people do, right? A lot of therapists, go to therapy. So a lot of psychologists go see other psychologists, right? Because they're able to see the flaws in others, but they just can't see it in themselves. That's the very interesting part about that. The human brain in itself and human behavior is fascinating. Like how people could be put through certain things in their childhood and they could really develop their whole personality in the future, right? Like what happens here is definitely going to affect the person, whole entire life. It's incredible, actually. You know, yeah, I'm telling you, this is just. I know, like other people say it as boring and stuff like that. I don't know. I just like how the human brain works. Like to try to figure out like why people behave the way they behave and why they do what they do. Like how certain events will literally build this person's whole entire future. A lot of people don't believe in that and say that no, that's dumb and what they choose to not believe the science, even though they believe the science in everything else. But they don't believe in the science in this, which is in itself, it's contradicting yourself. But you know, people will want to believe whatever they want to believe. They want to believe that they're right and what they have been always told is right and yada yada yada, right? A lot of people don't like putting their egos to the side or like feeling like like if this person doesn't deserve no understanding, when that in itself is ridiculous. But that's a story for a different day, right? I'm getting off track. No, but so anybody that falls into these categories, and one of the things that separates them, right, is the level of manipulation that goes into it, right? Like some are more, like I said, somebody who suffers from Machiavellianism is obviously going to be more conniving and go to greater lengths of looking to con somebody than somebody who's probably a narcissist, right? Like he's not gonna do all that just to trick somebody, right? While Machiavellianism doesn't mind, them, putting up, and using, even the most, like, damn, I can't believe it. They went to that length to even, manipulate this or that. Like their conning game has no, and somebody who follows under the level of like psychopathy is probably the most dangerous one and the most, because, since they hold no value to anybody, it could get dangerous, right? If they look to really get whatever they want, they don't mind, even if it hurts the individuals. You know what I mean? Because they just have you can't expect them to show any kind of remorse or any kind of sympathy or anything because they just don't have any emotions to them. They lack the emotions. So it's like everything to them is as an object, like it's just a tool. It's not they don't see people as other people. They see them as just objects and things, that they could just use and as they want and just throw away like if it's nothing. And people who unfortunately people who suffer like from psychopathy or psychopaths and stuff like that, unfortunately end up becoming people in power, like law enforcement, like people that are in charge or CEOs and stuff like that, right? Because they still hold that authority figure, right, where they decide who gets to keep their job and who gets to get fired, and they could just, everything to them is just and that's why they climb up the ladder so quick, right? Because some of these companies run their businesses like that, right? Like to them everybody's just You know, it's just a tool for them to build their empire, so they could just like dispose of anything, even though it's another person's life. You're gonna get fired. He doesn't know how to pay his rent, his mortgage. To them, it's irrelevant. They don't care. It's not their problem. You know, and they need people who have that mentality, right? Who don't mind being like that, you know, and that's why they climb to the top, right? Because a lot of these companies, like I said, run their businesses like that, right? There's a cold game, like they say, right? And it's sad. It truly is sad, right? Like somebody like you don't want somebody who's in charge who has so much emotion, because then you know, like he wants to hire everybody and give everybody raises, and they just look for a person to be more care, like not that generous. I wouldn't say careless, but not that generous, right? Um, and so if you guys are interested, you guys could look into the dark triad. You know what I mean? It's very interesting, you know, to know if somebody maybe you know suffers from any of these things, right? And yes, in YouTube, I do see several people who will fall under this category, in even the prison street taboo genre. There's a lot of individuals who I definitely would put under this categories, you know. And so I'm assuming that that's why a lot of people always ask questions, right? And are interested, because I'm pretty sure that, well, I know that I'm not the only one that could see this, you know. Obviously, if someone could see it, then that means that others could see it as well. You're not the only person who has that ability, right? So if you see it, then other people see it as well. And so I'm assuming that that's why it catches people's attention, right? And, you know, curiosity. But overall, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys have any more questions, you guys can leave them in the comments. If Shadow, we out.